I think you should start out with a canvassing program, put some pricing together, go find yourself a unique door that nobody else has so you can have a differentiating product, and do the canvassing thing and see if you can get any particle flow with that first. That way you don't have any advertising costs. It's just you beating the street. Maybe you get another canvasser with you or to divide and conquer. Set up HubSpot, let's track your leads, all this stuff. Let's go that route and see what happens.
How can you help us, though, continue to help you? First, please subscribe to the channel. Like us. If you listen to the audio version, leave us a 5-star review wherever you can. If you see our posts, please share those posts, share the content, and link back to our law firm website, which helps us to continue our SEO marketing and grow our firm and help small business owners. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the show. I'm Mitch Beinhaker, your host. As always, we have another great guest today. We're going to be talking about, we're talking about HVAC and HVAC businesses and batteries and generators and all kinds of fun stuff. So if you're tuning in for the first time or you're a regular listener, please leave us the 5-star review whenever you can. We're trying to move more and more people over to the video side of the show. So if you can get over to YouTube, subscribe to the show, like us, share us, keep us connecting with people like Ken. I always remind everybody that these episodes are for entertainment purposes only. It's not a guarantee of success or advice of any kind. And if you're listening to something that we discuss on the show, always consult with local licensed professionals in your area before making any decisions. So, Ken, thanks for joining me on the show. Where are you located? I didn't even ask you that when we were off the microphone.
Well, today I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Nice. So my daughter, I think I told you this, my daughter goes to the University of Arizona in Tucson. And next Friday I'll be there. It's Dad's sorority weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm flying through Dallas. I'm not going through Phoenix this time. So it's a very close connection. So sometimes you're in Phoenix, you miss the connection, and it's crazy. So we're doing it through Dallas. What's the weather like? I hear you guys got like storms coming through there soon.
Yeah, it's a little cloudy today, but otherwise it's been perfect weather. This time of year is incredible.
Yeah, because it's not like 112 degrees like when we moved around.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's actually perfect. This is a great time of year for Phoenix and Tucson.
Nice. And then where's your other location?
Well, I'm a native Las Vegan. I'm born and raised in Las Vegas, and that's where I guess my prime residence is.
Home basis.
Vegas. We spend a lot of time out here in Scottsdale, and the main reason is because one of my businesses that I built and recently sold was based here in Phoenix.
Got it. You're still consulting with them? Is that where you're going out there?
Yeah, I'm the chairman of the board and board member and a advisor to the company.
All right, cool. Well, we'll get into that so let's go back to farther back in your career when you got started in business and how you built the HVAC businesses and so forth. Can you take us through that?
Sure.
Okay.
Let me kind of give you the overall background in
Perfect.
that, I started holding the flashlight for my dad when I was 10 years old, working on air conditioners and working every night and weekend and all summer long in Las Vegas up on roofs. And I learned the trade side by side with my dad. And to the extent that, when I turned 16, the day I got my driver's license, he handed me 3 service calls to go run after that. And
Nice.
Go fix air conditioners. So I was skilled in that. And, about when I was 25, I guess, unfortunately, he passed away early. And so I bought the family business from my mom. My first acquisition when I was 25, which was me in a van.
Got it. So you didn't take it over. You paid your mom some money for it so she'd have some money to live on, and you literally bought the business, but it wasn't. Yeah. It was just a van. So
it was a van, and she answered the phone and did the books, and I did the work. So
nice. Okay. And you were how old at this point?
I was 25.
Okay. Well, that's hard. Yeah. Okay. So you took over the business. What shape was the business in at the time? Did it have a lot of customers? Was it growing? Or was it like you're taking over a business that wasn't in good shape?
It was a mom and pop business. I remember as soon as my dad passed and I bought the business, I said, well, is there any record of the customers? So my mom handed me this little tin box
right.
with 3x5 white cards in it that they hand wrote the details of every customer on.
Right. Well, that's what we did in those days, right? I mean, you have like an electronic database.
Right. And so I had 115 customers.
Okay.
because I remember that because I sent a letter to all the customers, letting them know that my dad had passed, and that I'm you know, taking the torch from here, and I'll
Got
be
it.
taking care of them if they need them.
And these were regular customers, like there were service calls and things like that, right? They weren't like
Right.
old customers. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you
People,
had a base to start with a little bit.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay. All right. So what do you do day one?
Well, so I go out. My dad wanted to, my dad always kept it small, right? It was him and I, or maybe we had some helpers here and there,
Right.
part time. But he wanted to keep it small, and he always said, I don't. As soon as you start dealing with employees, that's when all the problems come. He just didn't want to have employees and such. But
Yeah.
I kind of took it. I'm like, well, if I'm going to own a business, I'm going to be an entrepreneur, and I'm going to
Right.
have employees, and I'm going to have dress in cool, expensive clothes and put my feet up on the desk, smoke the big cigar, and the whole
Yeah.
deal, right? If I'm
Right.
gonna, have my own
Yeah.
business.
You don't want to be sticking your head inside air conditioners anymore if you own a
Right.
company, right?
So that was my game plan.
Okay.
And so I immediately went out and started hiring people and growing the business. I was skilled at it. I could solve problems that most people couldn't solve. I could
Okay.
sell. But what I didn't understand, and I think most people who start their business don't understand this, is that I didn't know the business of the business. I didn't know business at all.
Right.
And nor did I understand that you needed to know
Yeah. It
something.
wasn't just fixing air conditioners, right?
Yeah, and it's a lot more than giving a price to a customer, having to sign a piece of paper, and then collecting a check and putting it in the bank. There's a lot more to it, right?
Yeah.
And so I did pretty well the first year or so. I got it built up about 30 employees, and going to year two, and then I show up at the office one day, and a guy standing out front, and he said, "I'm from the IRS, and I'm here to talk about your back payroll taxes."
And you're like, what?
And I was like, "Well, what's payroll tax?"
Right. Of course. You'd
I
never
didn't
had
even-
employees before, right?
And he goes, "Well, we're going to show you what payroll taxes are." And they got very aggressive. Ended
Yeah.
up coming down one day and picking up some vans and garnishing bank accounts and disrupting the whole operation.
Well, you said payroll tax. This must have been the state then,
No,
right?
it was Fed.
It was Fed?
yeah,
You know, payroll tax is the Fed? Okay. I
Yeah.
thought that's state. Okay.
yeah.
But your mom didn't know her because he never had employees, so she probably never dealt with this stuff.
Well, by that time, I mean, the story gets pretty wild. But by that time, I had to fire my mom because she was very reluctant to growth, and she wasn't supporting it, and so
Right.
I had
They
to,
had to go break ties.
yeah.
Right. So but the payroll taxes were from the people you'd hired, right? You'd hired 30 people, probably in office, some out in the field, right? Different things.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't paying any payroll taxes.
Yep.
That's a problem. Okay.
I'll never forget the day that happened, and they come with their guns and badges and tow trucks, and they tow the stuff away, and I'd bounced everybody's paychecks. Everybody's there demanding their paychecks, but they had taken all the money, and
They wouldn't do a deal with you? They wouldn't make a payment arrangement? No?
no, that was kind of back in the '80s when they were really aggressive.
Yeah.
They were overreaching.
They didn't care. We're going to take whatever you have. We don't
Yeah.
care. Slash and burn. Yeah.
And so then I still owed them some money, so I had two guys stick with me
Okay. Out of the 30?
out of the 32.
Okay.
One guy was Vince. His name was Vince, and he was a Vietnam vet, and he represented that he had some medicine he had to take every day in his van that would
Okay.
help him from some condition that happened in Vietnam, which turned out to be heroin, I guess.
Okay.
Little syringes rolling around in his van,
Okay.
and I had a technician that was he was a little person.
Okay.
He was a little person tech, right? So those were the only two people who stuck, probably because they would find it hard to get a job somewhere
Yeah, they
else.
had nowhere else to go, right?
Yeah, and so it was me and Vince and the little guy.
Okay. So you got a core team here.
Yeah, we went out and we went to work. But in the meantime, a friend of mine had given me this book called The E-Myth.
Yeah.
The E-Myth Revisited by
Michael Gerber. Yep.
Gerber.
Yep.
So he gave me that book, and I was very intrigued at first sight because the cover said, "Why most small businesses don't work and what to do about it."
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking, wow, this is,
Great book.
yeah,
He's a brilliant guy.
sounds like I'm at the right place at the right time with this book, right?
Yeah.
And so after the IRS came in that day, I sat in the office till, I don't know, midnight maybe. I read the whole thing. And it just resonated with me that, a business is a system.
Yeah.
It's not the work of the business. It's not the work that we do. It is a system that delivers, that teaches your team how to deliver the product and service to your customers in an effective, efficient, and profitable manner. And where you pay your taxes and you put everything in the bank and you have good financials and you have it all done correctly, and you can duplicate that system over and over and over and scale it. And so that really resonated with me. I started to really understand what a business was. And so I went, every day I would get up, I would go out, sell an air conditioning job. Vince and the little guy would go put it in. I'd collect the money. I'd go back the next day, cash the check because no one would take my checks at the time, and I would buy the materials with cash, and I'd go do it again. And in the meantime, I began to build my business system.
What happened? So the whole thing with the IRS kind of screwed up all of your relationships because they went after.
Yeah, they bounced my vendor checks.
So that's what like cash only, right?
Yeah, so I was cash only for a while.
Now you still had the client list, right? I mean, the customers were still there to do business with, no?
Yeah, and I still could go out and get business. I mean,
Okay.
I was, even though I was in really dire times, I still could go out and sell a premium priced and premium quality job and make some good margin dollars on it because one, I knew how to do that work.
Right.
And, I knew that I had to make decent contributions to this debt every single day to get out of it. So I did that, and that's how I got out of it, and I built my prototype system. And as I built my prototype system, as described by Michael Gerber, I started to grow. And then the vendors came back and said, "We want to open your accounts back again." And then the local guys wanted to come work with me, so because I was growing, I was showing some promise.
Right.
And shortly after that, I morphed into the leading HVAC brand in Las Vegas when I was in my early 30s.
So you had like branded the company. People knew the name. It was systematic. You had a way to run the business. And now you're cooking with gas.
Right. And then I started buying my retiring competitors, my bankrupt competitors.
Yeah, the guys that weren't doing it the right way.
Struggling competitors because I had figured out my own broken business and I had a system now.
Right.
And I was attacking the business with the system.
And
I can't tell you how many people. So over the years, I'll get to this. Because of this system and this journey I've been on, now I've been able to build and exit 6 profitable businesses in my career.
Not all HVAC or not necessarily?
All HVAC plumbing related businesses. Currently, I'm on number 7, which we're in the standby power business, for homes to put batteries and generators.
Yeah, we're going to get into that, the Kennerator. Yeah. Okay. But you're right. It's a system. It didn't really matter which business it was. You knew how to make it work. So let me ask you this question. When you go and you buy a guy who's retiring or a competitor, they're in your area or they're out of your, so what are you buying? What do they have to offer you that you're buying? Is it the customer list? Can't be the equipment. I mean, you get access to the equipment. So what are you buying?
So in the essence of what I'm buying in that equation is I am buying the relationship between that particular brand and a customer, right?
So you're buying the access to the customers through their relationships.
And those customers are stickier because they have a relationship, number 1, so they're relational customers, and number 2, they have an immediate need and when they're calling. And so as long as you can handle the handoff really carefully and get the customers with a level of confidence that I'm going to do as good a job as or better than their last contractor that they were used to, then the the closing rate, the close rates, and
Much
stickiness
higher.
to the customer is a lot better.
So
And
part of the
usually,
deal was that,
I can buy them for 20%
right.
what trying to buy a lead on the internet cost.
Yeah, of course. And part of the deal was these guys had to stay on for a period of time to help with the transition and passing on the trust, right, to you.
Yeah.
So, right. Okay.
And so I started buying those businesses. I bought businesses that were shut down. Maybe these businesses were 40 years old, shut down for a year, and I was able to get their telephone number and port that to our numbers, provide a script to my team on how to answer that particular line. And I've had many cases where buying a phone number for a couple $1,000
Right.
from a defunct contractor, I'm making $1 million a year off of it.
Really. And
Many.
you're answering the phone as the old company, like you bought their name and the whole thing, right?
Well, I've tried different variations, but yes, I've done that. I got a DBA on that particular name and attached it to my license, and I've done that. I've done answering the phone with, at one time we had over 40 different HVAC brands ringing into our office of defunct businesses and phone numbers and all this stuff I bought. So we would answer it, air conditioning, plumbing services. And then, they'd say, is this Joe's refrigeration? Yes.
Got it. So you would be more generic for them to say, oh, am I reaching the right place? And be like, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But then over the course of time, we figured out it didn't matter too much. We
Right.
were still converting the customers because we did a lot of front end work to bond the customers to us.
Yeah.
But so then I started building with acquisitions. So now I got my system, and here's what really stuck with me, this system, and I'm a systematic person, right?
Yeah.
I think linear, right? And I think, like, for my days of repairing an air conditioner, you turn on the thermostat and all these things begin to happen to produce cold air. I can visualize that in a business too, right?
Okay.
And so the thing that resonated with me most is that Michael Gerbers talks about the 7 centers of management attention. So here's the 7 pillars of things that need to be attended to every single day to run a business system. Number 1 is leadership. And that's what's the direction of the business, where is it headed, what are the standards you operate by, what are the core values, all this stuff, who's the
Sure.
leader.
Right.
Number 2, management, and that's managing people. All the functions of manage people, job descriptions and training and employee reviews, everything to do with managing people.
Yep.
Money, obviously, that's the finance side of the business. All things money, including payroll taxes, for instance. Marketing, and when I say marketing, it's not advertising. It's not sending out a Google ad. It's marketing. What is your brand?
Right.
What's the colors? What's the brand message? What is it trying to say to the public? Is it attracting your customers correctly? The marketing, who you are piece.
Okay. How you show up type of thing. Okay.
Yeah. And then the 3 fundamentals that every business has to have in place first. Lead generation, I go out and I find a lead. Lead conversion, I sell the lead.
Right.
And client fulfillment, I do the work.
Yeah, that's all business development, basically. Right.
If you think about that, out of seven centers, doing the work or client fulfillment is 1/7 or 15%. It's only 15% of the total equation,
Right.
right?
That's just the end. That's the result of all the stuff you did before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people come to me all the time in the industry. I mean, I have a good reputation in HVAC, and so they track me down all the time when I ask questions. And a lot of guys will start out and say, "Hey, Ken, I just put in my 2 weeks notice at my HVAC company I work for. I just bought a new van. I'm ready to go and start my business. You got any words of advice for me?" And every time I say this: go back to your boss and beg for your job back, your day job. Number 1.
Right.
Number 2, go to this best practice group or that best practice group, depending on what the circumstances on what kind of business they're in, and learn the fundamentals of the business and build your business system before you get into business.
So you
Learn the fundamentals of lead generation, lead conversion, client fulfillment. Everyone just knows client fulfillment. They don't know how to get a lead, and they barely know how to sell.
I know.
Pick up the low-hanging fruit usually.
Yeah.
And then all the other aspects. So go learn that stuff first, build your system, then go and execute your plan, and your likelihood of success will be exponentially better, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just talking to somebody earlier today, and it's so true. People tend to leave, maybe they're dissatisfied at work, whatever. They leave their job. They do what seems natural to them, right? They get a truck, they get business cards, they get a website, they get a phone number, they do all this stuff. But if they don't have that whole business development, lead generation piece figured out, and all the other parts obviously fit in there. But if you don't, that's what you do have to do at the beginning. Like if you don't have that figured out, you're dead in the water without cash flow. It doesn't matter how great your product is, how you show up, you're real professional, you got great uniforms. If you haven't figured out the piece about who to talk to, where you're going to get your business from, the rest of it is just an exercise that's not really going anywhere. But if you have that answered up front and you know where you're going, then all the other pieces make sense when you're doing them. And I don't know if you find this specifically in HVAC, but business-wide, like generically, I find that as a shortcoming a lot of times. And especially in your business, a lot of mom and pops on the residential side, at least in my area. The bigger ones are commercial contractors, but the local guys are mom and pops that are servicing homes usually.
Yeah, and they get caught in this terrible cycle. They don't have enough jobs.
Right.
So they typically go in and underprice themselves because they're so desperate for the work because they got to eat.
Yeah.
And so now they just did a job they don't make money in, and it's this death spiral that happens.
Right. Yeah, because they're spending more. They don't realize that the cash flow is keeping them going, but they're really losing money. I think a lot of people during pandemic realized, especially if you're in what was a good one, like a restaurant that would shut down. All of a sudden you had no cash, and you're like, oh my God, we're not making any money, and hit the skids. So
the first thing we do though, when we evaluate a new business, like this sixth one I built, I'll come in and evaluate, say, what's it cost to get a lead here?
Yeah.
Number one, how plentiful
cost of
leads,
customer acquisition, right?
What is the customer cost of acquisition?
Yeah.
Number one, and really examine lead gen, lead conversion. Number one, because to your point earlier, without a lead and a sale, you got nothing.
You got nothing. You got some equipment and a truck you're paying for. You just have expenses. You don't know where you're going. And I don't think people really, maybe they're afraid or whatever, they don't answer that question up front. They really
this
should.
Old school, word of mouth, the best advertising there is, yeah, it probably is, but those days are gone.
Yeah, no, I think the networking and the word of mouth supports the marketing, but it's not enough to just rely. Well, no, we really just do business on referral. Well, that would be great if you could just get everyone's referring you business. But in today's world where it's so much noise and everybody's marketing to you, screaming for it, you have to, even if you don't sell on the internet, you got to be on there. That's where people are looking. You got to have a presence. You got to have a brand. You got to seem professional. And it's not so hard nowadays, it's really much more accessible for small business owners. But I don't know. There's several industries, trades that are, really ripe for the kind of stuff that you were doing in the HVAC.
Well, let me tell you an interesting story. I'll try to make it short, okay?
No, we got plenty of time.
So I go to my daughter went to USC in California, right? And so she had a graduation party, so we went to LA and we went to the party. So I start talking to some of the kids that are there, and a lot of the guys were interested because they knew I bought and sold companies, and that was interesting to them. So
Sure.
we're grouped around talking about that. And so there's one kid there that, like, he looked a little bit different, had long hair, and didn't look as polished as the other USC guys. I said, well, his name's Max. I said, hey, Max, so what do you do, Max? He goes, I went to Ohio. I just graduated from Ohio State, And so I came to LA because I wanted to be in the music business. So that's how I know your daughter, which my daughter's in the music business.
Okay.
And so, but I got laid off during COVID, so I bought some Korean liquor stores. Now, this is a white kid from Ohio, right? I go, Korean liquor stores? Like, how'd you get that? He goes, well, I always wanted to have a business, and it was the only thing I could afford. So,
Okay. Now, what's a Korean liquor store? It's a liquor store in like a Korean area, or is
yeah,
it
in
okay,
LA.
in like Koreatown or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. We call it K-Town in New York. Okay, I got it. So it's not specifically Korean liquor. It's a liquor store
No,
in
it's
the
a
Korean
liquor
area.
store. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
All right, so I go, well, how's it going? He goes, it's going good, you know. I mean, they had inventory that was 20 years old. I cleared all that out. I asked the customers, you know, what kind of stuff you want me to bring in. And I cleaned the stores. I put a point of sale system in. It's working good. And he says, I'm putting it up for sale soon. So long story short, so I'm thinking, well, this kid's got a little moxie. He was 25.
Yeah. Okay.
He's got a little moxie, buying some Korean liquor stores, right? And I said, well, what are you going to do next? He goes, well, I was going to ask you what I should do next. And I said, well, look, I've been a home service guy. Home service is very hot for private equity, and so you got a good exit. You know, our last deal, we sold for over a 20 times multiple, which was unheard of at the time.
Yeah, 20x sounds high for any industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's, you know, I said, you know, that's a really easy to get a business to get into. And one of the reasons is because they have these best practice groups that you can go and get the fundamental information you need to build your business system before you start. You'll be educated and not have this terrible route that I had to take through the IRS and the
Right.
one guy and the little guy, right? So, so he said, okay, which should I choose? I said, well, go to Garage Doors. That's the latest one. And I'm happen to be speaking at a garage door convention next week. Once you come out to the convention, you can see what it looks like and touch it and feel it. See
So
what
selling, installing, and servicing electric garage doors. And you don't
Yes.
need a license for that like you need with HVAC, right?
Yeah, you need a contractor's
There's
license.
contractor's license? Okay. But it's not like some crazy thing.
No.
Okay.
So anyway, so he comes to the convention. End of the convention, he comes to me, goes, okay, I want to do this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to build one of these. I said, okay, cool. So I said, well, you got to join this group and get the material and start building your system. A month later, he calls me up and says, hey, you know where I can understand the financial side of the business, the margins, the KPIs, the this or that? And I said, doesn't the group have that? He said, no, they said they haven't got that out yet. I'm like, wow, that's the basics. I said, okay, go to this group, call this guy, and but it's for HVAC. So wherever they say HVAC service on all their materials, you think garage door service, and whatever they say HVAC replacement, you think garage door replacement, because it's the same margins and the same.
The margins are the same, and the fundamentals are
the same.
Right.
The pricing methodology is the same.
Okay.
It's just different cost, right?
Right.
So he says, okay, go. So I said, it should take about a year. So he calls me back in 60 days. Okay, I'm done with the program. I go, you're done with the program? He goes, yeah, like I want to get this done. So I just made it my job and I got it all done. And I have my all plan. Would you like to see it? And this kid sends me this plan and it's perfect. Like the guy really did the work. He understood the margins and
this is like basically a business plan, an operational manual, how he's going to run the business.
Exactly. So
Okay.
he takes off. He goes, okay, now, can you help me? Figure out how to get my marketing going to get calls?
Okay.
And I said, well, listen, you're in LA, and that's a really expensive adult market to try to advertise in, especially as a new business.
And Ken, when was this? How long ago was this relative to like the internet and stuff? What year was this? Do you remember?
This was last year.
Oh, this is recently.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So all of his options are there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was just expensive to try to get a brand up and going in LA, highly competitive,
Yeah.
you know, you know, you can advertise in LA proper and get calls in San Diego. It's just a very difficult. You
Okay.
know. So I said, well, look, when I was at my daughter's house and she's remodeling her house now, every third house in these neighborhoods are getting remodeled.
Yeah.
I think you should start out with a canvassing program. Put your some pricing together. Start a canvassing program. Go find yourself a unique door that nobody else has, so you can have a differentiating product. And do the canvassing thing and see if you can get any particle flow with that first. That way you don't have any advertising costs. It's just you beating the street. Maybe you get another canvasser with you or to divide and conquer.
Right.
Set up HubSpot, let's track your leads, all this stuff. But let's go that route and see what happens. So he goes out, he finds a garage door. I didn't know they existed, but a flush mount door. So it's the newest thing, a flush mount garage door. And he became the only guy that could do this door, right?
But what does that mean? What's a flush mount garage door?
You know, usually they're recessed from the front of the house, maybe 10 inches or something.
Yeah, like 10, 12 inches because you got the panel on the side and the whole thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
this one is flush with the edge, so it looks like one flat wall.
So the house is very modern then. So it's
very modern, yeah.
Okay.
So he had that, and all those LA houses are kind of modern anyway, right?
Yeah,
so
it
he was
fits
a hit
yeah.
immediately. And I said, just charge the retail price, no different than you would charge a homeowner, even though it's new construction. Build the value. I helped him say, this is how you build the value with your product, and go out and get these jobs. So this kid, what did he do? He followed my direction. He got in the best practice group. He built his business plan. He clearly understood the business. He got himself a mentor, AKA me. He goes out, he starts canvassing, does $1 million in sales in good quality, high margin sales his first year.
Yeah, because he's just doing what you tell him to do. He's just doing it.
Right.
Right.
He's executing
Yeah.
He's running a business playbook. He's running a business system.
Right.
Right. And now he's successful. So then he came to me and said, okay, now I need to probably get some capital to grow. And I said, I'll throw in the first $1 million.
Okay.
So I'm investing in this kid because
Right. Now you're loaning him the money, or you're an equity partner?
equity.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm coming in, and now we're going to take the model and continue to scale it. But in the meantime, all this is going on. He gets, he's out like Beverly Hills area, right? So he's working on
because they're high-end products, so you want to be in a rich
products,
area.
nice stores, and then he gets attached to some people trying to rebuild their house in Pacific Palisades when they had the fires. Now, I talked to him yesterday. He's booked out in appointments right now, 4 months.
That's far?
That far because of this Pacific Palisades. I go, well, we got to speed that up. You're going to lose some of these leads.
Right. They need this stuff sooner than that, right?
Yeah. So let's go get the sales team in place now. But we're going to hit. We're just going to hit right place, right time, and he'll be off to the races.
Right.
In the meantime, we'll build a service agency inside that with the doors that are getting installed.
Yeah.
And then we'll duplicate the process in other cities. We'll scale it and we'll sell it.
Right, but he has you as a mentor, and he doesn't question anything. He just does it.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't say, oh, maybe this won't work. This is going to be hard. He just doesn't think about that part.
Yeah.
It's people I've met like that. It's like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You know that book?
Oh,
He
yeah.
didn't know any better. They just told him, buy a house. If you get 3 houses, turn it into a building. And, and he just said, okay. And he just kept doing it. And that's, a lot of it is, like you said, execution is a lot for just executing. Time has a way of doing things, and then something happens like that where you're doing it right and the situation is precipitous, like the fires, unfortunately, where everyone needs your service and everyone wants your product. I don't know, how did he even find this product?
He just started going on the internet looking for stuff, and then I said, once he found this door, I said, well, that's interesting. I said, go look at these houses that are being built, right?
Yeah.
And the architect usually has like a little sign in front.
Oh, yeah, right, sure.
Go contact those architects and tell them you're the dealer for this flush mount door. And he said, he goes, man, I got 4 meetings the first day with architects, and every one of them's like, we've been looking for people for months that would do this for us.
Nice. And then they design the houses, and they have to use his doors because it's part of the plan.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a hell of a story. That's a hell of a story.
So, but at the end of the day, it goes like this, Mitch. Go get yourself some business training on the specific business you're in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean you don't have to come from, you don't have to be an HVAC guy that, that worked in the field for 20 years before you go out and learn the business of HVAC. You can be a sharp, disciplined executor, and go take the
classes,
understand it, build your business plan, and go in and execute the plan.
Yeah,
The world is, obviously the world's changing, but they call it the silver tsunami, which is all the baby boomers, us baby boomers, well, me anyway,
right.
We're headed into our golden years, and we own all the businesses.
Yeah.
And so many of us don't know how to exit the business. It's been a lifestyle business for years.
Right. They don't even think about that, and it's hard to turn that around.
And they just shut them down. And
Yeah.
so an opportunity for a young, I kind of visualize young late 20-year-old, early 30-year-olds who want to really do something and make their fortune. Go find some businesses, go find the best practice group, get your fundamentals in place, get your business plan in place, get your tech stack ready, get all ready, go do the acquisition. Most of the deals you get, the owners will finance for you for
Right.
little
They
or
weren't
no.
going to get anything anyway.
Yeah.
You know how many companies
And get a business and get a mom and pop business,
Yeah.
get a glass repair business, get a
Right.
plumbing business, a water quality business,
Right.
these boring businesses where well executed business models, they can print money.
Maybe you're getting your calendaring from one software and you're invoicing from another. Even is a platform that we use as one of our sponsors to run our entire business. And there's other features like auto payments and integrations with QuickBooks. Visit evenue.com, EVONUE.com to learn more. There's also a link in the show notes. And be sure to tell them that the Accidental Entrepreneur referred you. This podcast is brought to you by our affiliate sponsor, iEmployee. iEmployee is a virtual assistant service that hires almost anyone for any role in your company right out of the Philippines. Most roles range from $7 to $9 an hour for highly skilled and experienced VAs. And whether you need an executive assistant, social media manager, video editor, customer service, sales, you name it, they have it. We use iEmployee for our VA services, from editing and promoting the podcast to all the PR and promotion of our law firm. iEmployee acts as a virtual field supervisor on the back end with live video monitoring and reports on a daily basis with screenshots of your VA's workday, and along with complete HR and payroll duties. No more paying for overpriced and underqualified workers. There's a link in the show notes to get a 1-week free trial, and I encourage you to take advantage of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's a lot of money to be made in trades. It's not like, look, we're always going to have electricity in our house. We're going to need air conditioning and plumbing. Maybe the way we do it is different. Maybe AI allows you to lay out the house better. I don't know, whatever it is, but we're human beings, so we're always going to need those kind of services. And I think that if people are just following the steps.
I'll never forget the day I called my mom when I first started business, and I said, Mom, I did $10,000 this month.
Right.
I said, you know how well I can live on $10,000?
Yeah.
And she said, well, that's gross. So
Right.
you got expenses. So, but it sounds good. So keep going though. Keep going.
Right.
And, now we do $1 million a day.
Yeah, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you think there's other industries that are kind of ripe for this kind of an approach where there's just like a lot of mom and pops and they can probably be run better and grown and things like that outside of HVAC?
Yeah, I think all of them, right? All of them. You want to find some niches that you believe you can scale, right?
Yeah.
that you can duplicate. That you want to find some niches that are, manager managed, not, the professional is not in the house. Like a lot of guys have done really well buying dental practices and keeping the dentist in place because it's a professional corporation. They need to keep the
Right.
doctor in place, but then putting some good business fundamentals
Yeah.
to the dental practice and, double, triple, quadrupling the business and then selling it.
Yeah. No, there's definitely opportunities for roll-ups, things like that.
It is funny though, you go in a dentist office that was kind of mom and pop operated, owner operated for years, then all of a sudden you get in there and, now they're trying to sell you the latest, greatest toothpaste and mouthwash and whitening thing and upsell you all the time. It is interesting.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, they never really did that. You can do that nowadays if you're creative enough, I think. So
But I had a friend of mine who his dad was in the specialty glue business, right? And he asked me about that when I said, I don't know, man, that sounds like a really niche-y. I don't know about that.
like marine adhesives and stuff like that, like crazy.
Yeah, aerospace,
Yeah.
weird stuff. Let me
Yeah,
make a concoction that can, withstand Martians on
Yeah,
this.
like how many people are going to be buying that, right?
But anyway, so the kid bought it from his dad,
Okay.
and then next thing you know, it gets a bunch of NASA contracts.
Oh,
And next thing you know, now 3M's knocking at his door.
to buy, because it's cheaper for them to buy him.
Yeah,
than to start
he
their own.
already has the infrastructure in place.
Right.
Yeah. There's another great book. I recommend the E-Myth, but there's another great book called Built to Sell.
Yeah, I know Built to Sell.
Yeah, so Built to Sell is a great book because it really is a clean, succinct method to how someone should think about arranging a business that's saleable.
Right.
And in this particular case, this guy built a business that he sold to a bigger marketing firm that just put a new division in their business. So,
Right.
you do have to think about the exit strategy when you're.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Look, I do a lot of business transactions in the Northeast, and we've had companies come to us that are just shutting down. Like you said, they're older, they're shutting, and I'm like, listen, I think we can make something out of this. Like, we can get a business broker. There are people looking to buy businesses, and don't walk away from, everything. Now, if they had gone your route, right, they might have gotten 5 or 6-fold of what they got when we sold the business, because the people that are buying it at a discount because it wasn't equipped and it wasn't ready, prepared to be sold. It wasn't built to sell. So, but at least we salvaged some money for the people that are just basically walking away and turning the lights off, and it's just unfortunate. I think there's a lot of people that could, I think the word you used before is lifestyle, right? It's just a lifestyle business for them to live, and they're not using
any formal operating procedures, and
right.
It's got tribal knowledge, people that've been there forever know how to do it,
and they're probably doing a lot of the work themselves, which is not the E-Myth. The E-Myth is, you shouldn't be doing the $20 an hour work. It doesn't work that way, and you get old real fast doing it that way. But some people do, and they can't let go, and I could just do it better myself. It's just easier. No, it's not.
Yeah. By the way, another great business I fell into with all this is like these phone numbers. I tell you about the phone numbers, right? I buy a phone number of a defunct business and I do $1 million in sales first year off of that phone number, right? So in one particular case, there was a company that did new construction, HVAC and plumbing.
So these were all HVAC companies that had defunct phone numbers.
Yeah.
They were out of business. Got it.
Yeah. And so these guys installed it into new homes, right? And so they went bankrupt. As soon as they went bankrupt that day, I put it in my calendar for 1 year from that day to call the phone company and try to get that phone number, because in a commercial number, the FTC says you have to keep the phone number dormant for 1 year for the old owner to catch up and resurrect his business.
That's what it is. So the phone company can't resell the number for a year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I put it, a year minus a couple days, and then I started having my assistant call the phone company. And she'd come back and they'd say, oh, it's not ready. I said, call again and see if you can get a different operator. Call again, call again.
So somebody says yes.
Until she finally got it, right? And it cost like $17 to transfer it. So they transferred the phone number into my office. And I had a non-compete at the time because I had sold another HVAC company in that area.
Okay.
And so I just let it ring because I was going to use that number for a business I was working on, my last HVAC business. I was working on doing that, but I had to wait until my non-compete ended. So I got this number, right? And it's ringing all day long.
And you can't answer it?
Well, I could answer it, but I eventually did, but I wasn't answering because I couldn't run any calls. So finally one day I'm like, what is the ringing? So I pick up the phone and a guy says, hey, my garbage disposal is not working. And I looked under my sink and your phone number and your stickers on the garbage disposal, can you come out and replace it? I said, sure. I said, let me get your address, blah, blah, blah. What's good?
Now, had you done that work already? I mean, garbage disposal, does that fall within your...
Yeah, we had plumbing businesses, but I couldn't actually do the work because I had a non-compete.
Right.
So I called my buddy and I said, hey, here's a call for you. And so then I got this idea. And what I found out was it was a new construction company, but they stickered the whole house. The garbage disposal, the water heaters, the air conditioners, the toilets, everything in the house, the electrical boxes were all stickered with their phone number. And so that's why I was getting so many calls because of these stickers, the thermostat. And so then I went to 4 contractors, said, you guys pay me $5,000 each ahead of time, and I will sell you these leads for $250 a piece. Okay, these are bona fide. I got a water heater flooding my garage. I got an air conditioner out. Good solid leads, $250 a piece, prepaid. Okay. And so they signed up. I had an answering service dealt them out. And
but that wasn't a violation of your non-compete, assisting another business to.
No, I got clearance on that particular issue with them.
Okay.
But they actually bought some of the leads.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was really a lead generation company at that point.
It was, yeah. So anyway, I was making $40,000 a month.
Just from that number?
Yeah, just from that one phone number and me selling those leads and the answering service handling it all.
And you're not making money on the jobs. They're just paying you for the leads.
Yes.
That's a lot of leads.
It's a lot of leads. It was a great business. And
that's like 40,000,
then when
160 leads a month.
Yep. And then when I lived out my non-compete and I started my new business, I just turned that phone number into the main phone number of the new business.
And the phone was still ringing.
Still ringing, and we got out in front of the business fast then. But there's all kinds of ways to be opportunistic and make money off of, these companies that are going to shut down,
right?
Or went bankrupt, shut down, whatever. There's a lot of money in these phone numbers, these URLs, these websites.
Mm-hmm. You do that too? You buy websites, you buy URLs?
Everything, yeah.
Got it.
I bought a business one time in Sacramento, and it was in 2009 when the Great Recession happened, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a residential new construction company, so they were really affected. It was a HVAC company.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, here's the deal. You change your company name to something else because the contractors don't care. I'm going to use your name for a retail brand name. I'm going to buy your URL, your phone number, your database, and your company name.
Okay.
$4 million.
That's what you paid?
I closed the deal with a zip drive. I got a zip drive. That's what I got.
So for $4 million?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the meantime, during due diligence, I hired a team. I got the team trained with my process. I brought in 20 vans. I got all that ready. I got my office laid out.
Yeah.
And we went into business ready to go first day. We paid back the $14 million in 18 months. I mean, the 4 million
4
in
million.
18 months, yeah. And, we built a $25 million business overnight with that database. But this company had over 600,000 thermostats with their name on it all through Northern California.
That was in the zip drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'll see you learn. Now, do you do any coaching and mentoring now of other like younger guys and helping them? I know you helped the one guy with the garage door business, but do you do a lot of that mentoring and coaching?
I do. I don't necessarily do it for pay,
No.
but
Do it
I
to help.
lots of guys who find me over the every week, every month, and I'll give them some of my time. And then if we get into something more serious, then I'll decide whether I want to invest or not.
Yeah, because I think there's a business there for creating an academy that teaches trades how to build their business properly and build their systems and systematize it and help these guys be more successful. Not for free, you know.
Yeah,
There's a book there.
I'm a regular speaker in the trades. I just did a whole event this past week in Las Vegas. But it's more kind of my giving back.
Like a pay it forward type of thing.
Yeah, I've been very successful over the years and
Yeah, sounds
built
like.
and sold 6 businesses and
Yeah,
but it's my way of giving back. But I'm happy to help. And really, what my message is about is to all of us struggling entrepreneurs, right? Struggling business people who, the best thing that could have happened to me is I didn't pay my payroll taxes and I got shocked immediately on indoctrinated into what a business was, and I had to do what I did. I had to learn it, which most people just don't get that opportunity. We'll call it. They just
yeah,
don't die a slow, agonizing death, in
right.
business.
Yeah,
And so, I like to. My goal is just to kind of, if I can help somebody um, stay away from that trouble and pain and
yeah.
potential
Right.
failure, I think I've done good.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is, though? I don't call them failures. They're more like learning opportunities, right? So you tend, if you're successful all the time, you're not really prepared for the time when when you run into problems, the IRS shows up or you do something wrong. So it's a little irony, I think, of business. Like you have to fail to learn, but you don't want to fail. You want to be successful, and then you don't learn anything. So tell me about the current business, the generator battery business. Why'd you get into that? What opportunity did you see? What's going on with that?
Well, over the years, I've developed this business development team, right? I have a team of people, 4 people that have been with me for a long time who have kind of been by my side every time I want to do a new venture.
Okay.
The team will come in and we'll make our plan. And they will execute on the disciplines that I describe and get the businesses. We'll acquire some businesses usually and get them systemized, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, and all operating in concert. So in 2024, I had my team. We had done the HVAC business. We took a couple years off. We said, okay, what are we going to do next? So to keep my team going, we said, okay, let's do standby power.
Okay.
One, I think it's a great emerging market. The demands and the demands on the grid are going to be enormous over the years with
Right.
AI.
The weather changes are causing more problems, right?
That stuff, yeah. The social unrest, who knows.
Yeah.
So I think power is going to be a great business. It's highly fragmented and underserved. And I'm going to hedge my bet, and we're going to start in Hurricane Alley. So here's Hurricane Alley. Start picking some locations that we can have, in there, throughout there. So we know we got the storms to rely on to perfect our machine.
Where's Hurricane Alley? Down towards Florida, that area? Where's Hurricane Alley?
Well, it goes across Texas.
Okay.
Texas, all south, right through there, and to the east, southeast and east.
Got
And
it.
so we bought our first one in Dallas. Then we went to Houston. Then we went to Tampa, and then we went to South Carolina. So now we got a nice, right down the center of Hurricane Alley. We got
Right.
covered, and we're going to continue to build upon that.
So these are businesses that you acquired and brought them under your label, under your brand, and
That's
now they're
correct.
branded in these 5 locations or whatever it is.
Right, and we came up with a brand concept and brand story and all that. We call it Kennerator,
Okay.
because when I was a kid, I used to help my dad work on generators, and every time we get one started, he'd high five me and call me the Kennerator. So,
That brings it a circle, right?
yeah, Kennerator generators.
Okay.
Plus, it's easy to remember.
Yeah, and you're Ken, so that's good.
Yeah, so we bought 2024. We bought 14 million in revenue.
Okay.
Acquired revenue, LTM last.
They're
12
active businesses, so they're generating business. Okay.
None of them were really making much profit. Year 2 with the same book of business, we did 40 million. So we grew from 14 to 40 year 2.
Right. Plus your margins, I'm sure you improved tremendously.
Significantly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we, includes the closing ratios, our margins have doubled. The business weren't making money. We're making a on-plan but budgeted profits. So, it's coming together, and we've grown it from 14 to 40 in 1 year.
Right. So 14 was the combined revenue of all the locations you acquired, and then you grew that whole group because now it's one name, right? They're different locations to 40 million.
Right, to 40.
Now, all home generators, and do you have batteries too?
Yes, we have batteries as well, yeah.
Okay. Like what? What kind of batteries? Power tool batteries, car batteries? What are you selling?
No, it's whole home batteries. They go in your garage.
Oh, like Tesla wall type of things?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
We don't sell that specific.
But it's the same
one, but
concept,
it's
right?
the Same concept. So,
Got it.
the ideal setup is to have a battery and a generator, and the generator is really there to charge the battery bank, and you're really running off a battery bank, not the generator all the time.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
So anyway, that's the business we're in now, and we every year, every time we do a deal, we create the 1,000-day plan.
Okay. That's
And so-
like 3.5 months, right?
A year.
1,000 days. No, it's 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 years, a little bit more than 3
So the
years.
1,000-day plan, and so we put together a whole plan, no different than a construction schedule, plan, budget, schedule, right? And here are the key components that we need to have built inside the business. Here's the people we need. Here's the assets we need. Investment, everything.
Right.
And when do we need it over time to get to a specific outcome? Usually what we do is, the last deal we did, we said, okay, we're going to 10x the current business in 1,000 days.
So if it's doing $1 million of revenue, you want to get it to 10 million. Well, that's doable. I mean, you have 3+ years, especially if you have a blueprint for success that works.
It is, but you got to stay
Right.
on it to get it,
Yeah, and everything's a little bit different, right? In different markets, whatever. Yeah, there's always something that's nuanced.
So we go to the 1,000-day plan. And the last business I did, we had taken on an intermediate sponsor, a PE sponsor at 50 million in value.
Okay.
And I said, we're going to 10x the value of this company in 1,000 days. And we executed that plan flawlessly, and we closed a transaction on that business for 10x the value, the former value, in day 996. Because we approach it as business builders. We didn't approach it as HVAC contractor
Right.
or entrepreneur.
Right.
We approach it as business builder. We build businesses. We know all of the fundamentals. This is the foundation. This is the framing.
Right.
This is the stucco.
And
this
it's
is-
not different.
What's that?
There's nuances, but it's not different. It's you go and do, standby power versus HVAC. That's just the product that you're selling. You're still doing it basically the same way if you execute, right? So the
Yeah.
PE, the
Here's
PE.
how I get leads. Here's how I close the leads. Here's how I get the work
Right.
done.
So what's the goal? To build up that to a certain number of locations and brand it, and then sell it to private equity or something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, we essentially have our own private equity shop, but we're operators. We're actually very hands-on.
Right, but you're in the
Well,
acquisition phase.
yeah, the typical private equity guys, they look for founders to partner with.
Right,
and-
because they don't want to bring in you guys are the turnaround guys too. You come in, you buy the business, you turn it around, and then, now you ever thought of like franchising this type of a business? Or is it not really it doesn't really fit with the blueprint that you use?
Well, back to what you said earlier about mentoring or having classes or having a group. That's where I get the most demand. I have a lot of guys that come to me and say, or men and women both, say, "Can you teach me that? Everything that I just described. Can you?" And they've offered me some pretty generous money to
I'm
do it.
sure. Yeah.
But I haven't done it.
I mean, look, Ken,
just doing
I've
my own
interviewed,
things.
I've worked with thousands of business owners. I have, interviewed, I don't know what, we're up to 400 plus people on the show. I have met some very successful people in business, but very, very few, you're not the only one, but a handful of guys that have figured out what they're doing will pretty much work in any business that they do, right? There's a lot of people that are successful the first time, and then they struggle because they don't have, like you said, a systematic approach to why they were successful. And that it's like a science to you. So yeah, there's nuances and there's probably stumps along the way, but in a lot of cases it gets there sooner than you're prepared because you're getting better at it. I mean, I just think there's a lot to be said for, and I'm not suggesting like you should go into this and start charging people all kinds of money if you don't want to do it. But I'm saying that out of the thousands of people that I've met, plenty of which have been successful, but have struggled later on, the way you approach things, and maybe it's the way your mind works, maybe it's the discipline you have, or whatever it is, you have figured out a systematic approach that works in 99% of the situations. I'm not saying you'd go into any business. There's business you wouldn't attract you. But I think if people used your fundamentals, 90% of the time, they will be successful. Will they be as successful as you? Maybe not. But they'll be a lot more successful than they're being now. I think there's a lot to be said for that. Or at least a book. There's got to be something in there. Right?
I just recently, I've been coaching a friend of mine who's a personal injury attorney.
Yeah.
Okay? And when I started coaching him, he was about 8 million in billings. Not bad, right?
That's a lot. The PI guys can make good money.
So 3 years later, he's at 37.
Wow. I guess he has not just him then. He definitely has more attorneys.
He does. Has his son, he has his two sons, and he has a whole team now. But
right.
Again, it was what I opened his mind up to is like, you're too focused on the work.
Right.
How do we recreate the work so it's a business system? And obviously, you don't want to give a great value to your client and be the best professional you can be. So you need to put your spin on it, and you need to have some touch points with every case to make sure that they know you care and that you're a part of it, and you're just overseeing it. But how do we duplicate you to grow this business? And ironically, one of the first things that we did was we fixed his brand, his marketing, his whole brand concept, and the lead gen.
Right.
And it wasn't the cheesy, it was completely opposite all the cheesy
that you see out there, right?
That you see, yeah. It was, it trumped all of those guys. Then we put a sales system in place. Then we had an org chart.
Right.
We got Traineal. Traineal is where you put all your, it's an LMS, learning management system, where you put all your SOPs, your standard processes in, and you can train your people with them. And that's
right.
how you duplicate and scale, right?
Because they have a track to run on. I think that's one of the challenges. And listen, I faced it too, because I used to have a bigger firm. I broke it up. I've been on my own. It's a big challenge for professionals who their clients rely on their services to be able to scale like that. It definitely is a challenge, because I'm at the same kind of crossroads. Do I bring in a young associate? I got to find this person. I'm in a co-working space, so then I got to get more space, and I got to do that. And I'm crossing those rivers too, because
talking about the legal side of it, like I, I've done over 260 acquisitions in my career, right? And so I found this attorney who was a really good tactician, by APA, buy-sell agreement kind
yeah,
of
he's a
guy.
business attorney like me. He helps you with the acquisition, does the legal side, the documents, the whole thing, right?
So we created a boilerplate document
Process, right? Yeah,
and LOI. And my process is like every LOI, we finally got to this place. Every LOI, I gave people three choices. One, a pretty cheap, all cash price, see you later, out the door, I'll never call you again. Okay, number
Right.
one. Number two, I usually put number two, the deal that I really wanted to do, which was a variation of things.
right,
But the one I wanted to do was in the middle because most people pick the middle.
right.
But it
It's like,
usually
well,
went like, I'll give you 50,000 down and 8% of the revenue off the top of this business for the next 24 months, monthly paid.
right.
So you get to
It gets some upside. It reduces your risk, right? And you have
yeah,
less
so
money on
it's
the
kind of
table.
owner carry, or then just a basic 50 grand down, you carry the rest for 36 months, no
At
interest.
interest, right?
You know?
Yeah,
And so I would do the 3 LOI model.
right.
They always pick the middle,
Yeah.
which is the one I wanted.
Right.
And then my form agreement, you check some boxes. This is how the payment works, and
Yeah, because you're a systems guy. You don't want to go out and negotiate every deal from the beginning.
Yeah.
I've never seen a standard LOI. I mean, I have a standard LOI, right, that I use, but if some guy comes to me with an LOI, every single time they're different. They look different. They're laid out different. The order in which things are different because they're not thinking system. You're like, I don't need to waste my time with 42 options. I'll give him 3. He'll choose one. We'll do it that way. And I'm sure your APA is pretty standard too, right? Your guy can turn those around pretty quickly. Not a lot of legal time, negotiating it back and forth.
We're extremely efficient. And by the way, go back to built to sell. Like a guy
Yeah.
like you who's in this business, that's your playbook. You take the built to sell playbook, you build your system for buying and selling businesses, and then you go sell that packaged up business to a competitor or a regional one day. You're selling the system.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I also you ever read that book, Who Not How? It's kind of
No.
like you never heard of strategic coach Dan Sullivan?
Uh,
It's one of his guys that wrote the book about it's not about how you do it, it's who you get to do it, right? It's part of your system that you shouldn't be doing things. If you're going to be successful and wealthy, you're not going to all 5 locations and selling generators. That's absurd. You're running the business, and the people are selling the generators. So yeah,
I'm actually
I'll go
very
back to
proud that I've never been
built to
into
sell.
any one of the. I'm very proud I've never been into one of the generator shops I own.
Never been there.
Never been there.
Even since you acquired them. So you didn't go first time checking it. So it didn't even matter what the shop was, what it looked like. I mean, I guess nobody really. How does it work? If I buy a generator, do I go to the location, or is it all visit?
No,
all
we
visits?
come to you, but these are mom and pop businesses. They're usually the shops are inadequate,
Right.
dirty.
Yeah, you don't want customers
small.
going there anyway, so it doesn't
No,
matter.
I know. It doesn't matter what it's looked like because I know we're going to move into a nice new facility and get the office space correctly so we can work and execute.
Right. But you're not doing that, you said. You have a team that goes out
Yeah,
and
yeah,
takes care of all that stuff at this point in your career, right?
yeah. That's why I don't go out. Now, don't get me wrong. In all of the other acquisitions I've done over the years, I always kind of went and
Yeah, more hands-on.
kicked the tires, but
No reason to do it. You got the people you got the who's. They're all
Right.
the people right. Well, Ken, I can't thank you enough. This has been a great episode. I love having conversations with people and sharing the ideas with other people where you're a real business guy. You're doing it the right way. I try to get people. I can't tell you how many people have called me and said, "I need your help. I got to unwind this lease, and I got equipment. I got to shut the business down." I'm like, "Well, what was your plan? What was your blueprint? They don't have anything. They just started buying stuff and leasing space and I'm like, and it's frustrating. So it's nice to meet somebody who's helping other people and doing it the right way. And I will pull that book off the shelf again, Built to Sell, and reread it and start doing stuff. But definitely want to stay in touch. And I appreciate your time because it's 4 o'clock here. So what is it, like 1 o'clock there?
It's 2.
2 o'clock, only 2 hours behind. Okay. All right, because you're in Arizona. Like my daughter is only 2 hours behind because you guys don't change your clocks. I was trying to explain to somebody in Bali yesterday that it's the only state in the United States that don't change their clocks. And my daughter being in Tucson, I'm always mixing up the time. So, all right, but please stay in touch. We will put links in the show notes to your businesses. They can learn. What's the best way for people to connect with you, to learn from you and see what's going on? Are you on LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? What are you doing?
Well, I have a website, kengoodrich.com.
Okay.
And if you want to book a call, there's a place where you can pick some times and book.
Okay, we'll put a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the usual social media stuff.
You got LinkedIn and stuff like that.
LinkedIn.
Okay, good. All right, Ken, have a great weekend, and thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
In addition to being a podcast host, I'm also a small business attorney, mostly providing legal services in New York and New Jersey. With over 3 decades of experience, we can handle most transactional issues. So if you're watching the show and you encounter some sort of legal issue, reach out to us and visit our website, beinhakerlaw.com. Thanks for tuning into the show and for continuing to support us.